On this video, we're going to discuss how to simplify expressions using the order of operations. Something very fundamental, but it is one of the most important skills that we need to know in intermediate algebra. PEMDAS, this is something that we've all seen before. We've probably heard that phrase. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. I know that helps me remember. But what does that mean? Well, this is the order of operations. P, of course, stands for parentheses or brackets. Any kind of grouping system, grouping symbol, we have to make sure to do those first. E is for exponents. Now the next two, M and D, they're kind of grouped together. And they stand for multiplication and division. And why are they grouped together? Because those have to be performed left to right. So make sure when we're solving those, we do those left to right. The next two are also grouped together. They stand for addition and subtraction. There's our plus sign and our minus sign. Again, when solving these, make sure that we must perform those operations left to right. I'll abbreviate there because they can now know what that means. Now that we know what the order of operations are in the proper order, let's take a look at our first example. In our first example, we're going to have 7 minus parentheses 5 times 3, and then that's plus 3 squared. Well, according to our order of operations, we have to perform parentheses first. So 5 times 3, that is 15. I'll rewrite the rest of the expression. We've got our 7 minus, and then plus. Now I can take care of that exponent. What is 3 squared? That is 3 times itself, so 9. Now all I'm left with is addition and subtraction. So we're going to perform left to right. 7 minus 15 is negative 8. Negative 8 plus 9, and that equals 1. Answer in that problem is 1. Now, anytime we deal with exponents, there's something that I want to make sure we cover right away so you guys understand the difference. Something you'll see a lot throughout the year, and people make a lot of mistakes. It is the difference between parentheses negative 3 squared, or anytime you have parentheses with exponents, versus when there is no exponents. So let's take a look at the parentheses first. What does that mean when you have quantity negative 3 squared? Well, that means that we're taking whatever's inside the parentheses and we're timesing it by itself. Negative 3 times negative 3. Well, a negative times a negative, you remember, is a positive. So this would actually end up equaling 9. Now let's take a look at the other side. All right, without the parentheses, exponents first. All right, so we have to square that 3. So it's actually going to be 3 times itself. But then we still have that negative sign in front. Well, 3 times itself is 9. And then we still have the negative. So it's negative 9. So you can see a big difference between parentheses and without the parentheses. If it helps you, I like to think of it without the parentheses as the opposite. That subtraction sign or negative sign means opposite of 3 squared versus the parentheses when you're squaring the 3 times itself. Now that we know what the order of operations are, we know the difference between parentheses being squared and without parentheses being squared. I have one more example I'd like you guys to try.